So Stellan, thank you for joining me. Can you give me a brief overview of what Borg McEnroe is about and the character you play?
Well, the film is about, it's centered around the famous final in Wimbledon 1980, which is a historic tennis game. But that is just sort of the engine of the story. The story is really about those two boys. They were very young, and they were like rock stars in the world, and their lives were pretty difficult for them in different ways. So it's about the people. And I'm playing Borg's trainer and coach, Leonard, who before Borg was the most successful Swedish tennis player ever. And it's kind of a Salieri relationship, like Salieri Mozart. This very talented man finds this genius in his own field.
And this is the first film in a very long time where you've actually been able to use your native tongue. How was it to go back and work on a project where you would be speaking Swedish instead of English?
It's very nice. It's like coming home again, you know. And even if I've worked for decades now in English, it's still not my mother tongue. And when emotions kick in, you want to go back to scream "mama" in your own language, you know.
Yeah, there's a lot more passion behind it, I suppose, but just because it comes naturally to you, I suppose. What was the last film you did before Borg McEnroe where you were speaking Swedish?
I've only done, in 20 years, I've done one Swedish film, but I've done a couple of Norwegian films with a director that I worked a lot with, called Hans Petter Moland, where in those Norwegian films I was allowed to speak in Swedish.
Mm-hmm. And for your character, Leonard, what research did you do into him, considering you couldn't actually go directly to the man himself to find out more?
Yeah, no, he's dead. But no, I read a couple of books and I looked for the rather sparse material of video footage that exists on him. But I was more concerned with the fiction than the reality. I got a very nice bald cap with a comb over, so I looked like him at least. But otherwise, I worked more on the relationship in the film between Borg and Borg's fiancée Mariana and him, they were like a trio that were on the road constantly and living a very unglamorous boot camp-like life in the middle of this rock circus or star circus or media frenzy.
So compared to Sverre and Shire, did you find it more difficult to stay truthful to the story as such, considering there was no first-hand person there you go to speak about?
No, I didn't, and they didn't speak to the living originals either. But and that wasn't my ambition. Wasn't to be absolutely in detail truthful about this man, but in essence truthful. And 1 week before the opening, I called his widow and said, "Hi, this is Stellan Skarsgård. I'm sorry. I'm playing your husband, but it's not your husband."
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned the relationship between Björn Borg and Leonard Bergelin. How was it working with Sverre? How did you build that chemistry?
Lovely, and because we have. His role is very difficult because he doesn't show much, he doesn't say much, and we had to. There's no scenes about our relationship really. So we had to create a relationship that felt intimate, even if we didn't say anything. Just the way we moved around each other, the way we touched each other, and everything. It had to be a real closeness there.
Mm-hmm. And Borg McEnroe, it makes a nice change for a film for you to be in, as compared to something like the Avengers franchise or something like that. Does your preparation for each role differ depending on the style of film, or do you go through the same sort of preparation process?
Well, it differs, but it's. I prepare. I work very hard to prepare, but not maybe in the conventional way. It's not like if I'm going to be a baker, I don't bake for months. But I do different kinds of preparation, and it's more sort of figuring out or creating an internal universe for the person. Mm-hmm. And then I don't make decisions. I want to be as flexible as possible when I'm in front of the camera.
Mm-hmm. And just finally, do you remember watching the 1980 final? Because Sweden must have been gripped by it, really, because was Borg's attempt at a 5th title. What was it like? Do you remember?
Yeah, I remember it. It's I mean, you saw all the games he played, and that thing. I'm not a big sports person, so but I saw everything, and that final was it transcended sports. It became such a high class drama. It was fantastic.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.